bet that at least some of you are coming into this class wondering, why do I need art appreciation? What is so important about art that it is so essential to my general education that it is required for me to take an art class? And those are good questions to ask. But what I would add, more important than that, is how does knowing about art improve your life? How does understanding art that you see every day, even without noticing it, help you? This issue is directly addressed in a dramatic fashion in a clip from The Devil Wears Prada. This clip helps to illustrate the ways that art, in this case fashion, permeates our experiences, even when we don't necessarily realize it. What I want you to do is pause this video and click on the link to go watch this particular clip, and then after you do that, come back and rejoin us for a little bit of analysis. What this video does is very clearly illustrate how even when we don't think about our choices or the choices of the people who design the world that we live in, we are still influenced every day by multi-billion-dollar industries who pour millions upon millions of dollars into figuring out ways to influence us in such convincing ways that they become almost unnoticeable. On a very primitive level, art is about communication. What we in Western European-derived culture designate in the category of quote-unquote art is a means of communicating ideas in a media that can be understood and make an emotional connection that goes beyond the limitations of words. For example, in the Book of the Dead, a papyrus scroll that comes from ancient Egypt, we see communication of ancient Egyptian ideals and values through a visual medium. You see the gods in their upper pantheon at the top of the papyrus, showing their elevated status. You also see how gods like Anubis are much larger than the man whose soul is being weighed. And then you see in the little jar on the scales, a container holding his soul being weighed against the feather of Ma'at, or the feather of truth. And so without even using words, I can tell that in Egypt, Egyptian gods are very important. They're very powerful. And they also command your destiny. They are in charge of your fate in the afterlife. And your fate is determined by virtues. In this case, is your soul lighter than the feather of truth? Are you a pure being? Art communicates across cultures and languages. Making art is an instinctive, uniquely human urge that we use to express our highest aspirations. Understanding why and how art and design can affect us allows us to better understand our humanity. These tools also allow us to show the ways that people can create aesthetic experiences to govern and manipulate our everyday lives. Consider how the font choice can change or even destroy the meaning of a message. Why does the most successful fast food chain in the world use red and yellow as its identifying colors? Why do so many people feel a personal connection to the Mona Lisa? None of those things are accidents. If you follow art, you can always trace that line back to power. Because art is powerful. It's one of the most powerful tools we have. We use it to communicate symbols of respect and obedience. We use it to uplift the mundane and the ordinary. We use it to express ideals and personal mantras and universal truths. We use it to expose injustice and to inspire change. And we use art to express our feelings and emotions and connect with others on common ground. Now we're going to do a little bit of an exercise in which I describe in visual terms 2 different restaurants. And even though I'm not going to give you any information about prices or even what is necessarily on their menus, I'm going to be able to ask you a series of questions that you will be able to answer because it does reveal how much we instinctively understand art and design. So our first restaurant, Restaurant A, is brightly lit, decorated in saturated primary colors. The placemats come with crayons to color them in, and the menu is laminated in a plastic material typed in Comic Sans. Restaurant B, on the other hand, is decorated with muted, warm colors. The lighting is dim, with illumination only at each table. Each table is covered with a white tablecloth, and the dishes are very simple. The menu is cardstock, and it is written in script. Now, from that little bit of visual information, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. First one is, how much do you expect to spend for anything at Restaurant A? What can you expect to maybe find on that menu? How long do you think you'll be spending in that particular restaurant? And then, what kind of audience do you expect to see at Restaurant A? What's the general age range you might be expecting? Now consider Restaurant B. What kind of occasion may you go to a place like this? Is it something that you'll go to every single day? How much would you expect to spend for a meal here? And what is something that you might expect to see on their menu? And then, if you were going with somebody to this restaurant, who would you plan on taking along? What kind of company would you expect to keep here? And you can quickly see from answering those simple questions how much art is communicating with us, even when we don't realize it. In this class, we're going to learn how to identify effective art and learn the basic tools to build our own artistic practice. We will explore how art represents individuals and ideals across cultures, and how art in turn changes the world around it. The last thing I want to leave you with is a link to a short clip illustrating some of the movements and works of art that we will be covering in this class. And along with being a little bit informational, it also proves one of the last things that I want to leave you with today, which is art can also be fun.